If He Had Been With Me by Laura Nowlin. Chapter 65. On day 3, my mother comes and sit on the edge of my bed. It's mid-afternoon, but I'm still in my pajamas. I have worn them for 2 days now. I'm wearing my glasses and my hair is greasy. I know staying in bed for most of the day isn't helping my argument that I just need to be left alone. But I can't summon the resolve to do anything else. As long as I can sleep, I feel numb, and numb is good. Numb doesn't hurt. Autumn, my mother says, I already know what you are going to say, so can we just skip it? Why don't you call one of your friends? Mom says. Why hasn't Sasha been by? The Sasha who slept with Jamie right before prom? I feel her body tense. I curl up in a ball and pull the blanket over my head. I'm so sorry, Mom says. I don't answer her, even though she waits. She clears her throat. What about Brooke? Jamie's cousin? I'm sure she really wants to hear all about what a bastard he is. Angie is gonna go into labor pretty soon now, Mom. She is quiet and still, and I hope that she is giving up and leaving. I don't suppose one of the boys? She says. Mom, just go, please. I feel the mattress shift and hear her walk across the floor. She closes the door behind her. I shut my eyes and try to sleep again. When I open my eyes again, it is late afternoon and my mom is standing at my door. You need to get up, she says. No, Finny is coming over. What? I sit up as if a bolt of electricity has shot through me. Mom goes to the closet and seemingly reaches in at random, pulling out a blue tank top. Why is he coming over? I say. Mom lays the tank top down on the bed next to me and crosses over to the dresser. He is coming to see you. Do you have a strapless bra clean? She opens the top drawer of my dresser. I haven't even showered and I don't want to see Finny, I say. Mom ignores me and opens another drawer. Jeans or a skirt? You haven't shaved your legs, have you? Here. She tries to hand a pair of jeans to me, but I swat them away. He'll be here in 10 minutes, so you better hurry. She turns away from me and walks out. Mom, I shout at her, retreating back. She ignores me. I jump out of bed and run to the bathroom. When I hear him on the stairs, I am dressed, but my hair is still wet and I'm not wearing any makeup. I grab a hairband and hastily pull my hair into a ponytail. He knocks. I look around my room. I have been eating here for the past 3 days and I realize that while I was showering, Mom came in and cleared out all the empty wrappers and dirty plates. I sit down on my bed. It's been made. Come in, I say. The door opens a crack, and Finny's face glances around the corner and looks at me. Then he opens the door the rest of the way and stands in the threshold. Hi, he says. He is already blushing a little. Hi, I say. He looks at me like he is waiting for me to do something. Are you going to come in or lurk in the doorway like a vampire? I'll come in, he says. He crosses the room and pulls out the chair from my desk. He sits facing me with one elbow on the desk. I pull my knees up to my chest and lean against the headboard. I'm sorry they made you do this, I say. Who? Finny says. The mothers. He shakes his head. They didn't, he says. It was my idea. He's looking down at his lap. He doesn't move. He just sits there with me. I look at his shoulders and his hands. His hair is even more golden from the summer sun. Something stirs in me and I push it down again. I had rather feel nothing. You should know though, Finny says. They are really worried about you. I know, I say. He raises his head and looks at me. They are talking about calling that doctor again. I sit up straight and let my feet fall to the ground. Sing? Finny nods. Oh God, he's the last person I want to see. Why? What's wrong with him? I don't know. I shake my head. He writes down everything I say in this file, and every time I see him, he makes me stand on his scale. Finney frowns. Why? He thinks I'm anorexic, I say. The corners of Finney's mouth twitched up. It's not funny, I say. Finney grins and shakes his head. It's kind of funny, he says. I can't help but smile a little when he looks at me like that. Okay, I say. Maybe it's little funny, but I do not want to talk about Jamie with him. When I say his name, a knife stabs my guts and my smile fades. I will take care of it, Finney says. You will convince them not to call him? Under one condition. What's that? I ask. Finney, stand up. Come, get some ice cream with me. He says. I sigh and pull my knees up to my chest again. Finney, I really don't want to go anywhere today, I say. Finney grabs my arm and pulls me up. Hey, I say. Where are your shoes? He asks. He sees some flip flops in the corner and drags me over. Put these on. These don't match my outfit, I say, and I'm not wearing a tiara. What does that have to do with anything? He says. Come on. I slide my feet into the shoes and Finney walks me downstairs, still holding my arm. The mothers are down in the kitchen drinking iced tea. Both of their faces light up when they see us. We are going to get ice cream, Finney says. I am being kidnapped, I say. Good job, Phineas, my mom says. Have fun, kids, Aunt Angelina says. He doesn't let me go until we reach his car. He pushes the button on the automatic locks and opens the door for me. I sigh and sit down. This is only the third time I have ever been in the little red car. It smells of leather and of Finney. He walks around the car and slides in next to me. Without saying anything, he pulls out of the driveway and turns on the radio. He is driving to the train stop where a lot of kids from school hang out or work. Do I have to come in? I say. When Finney pulls into the parking lot, it's nearly full. I recognize most of the cars. Why? He says. I don't want to see all the kids from school. Finney pulls the car into a spot and turns off the engine. He turns to me in his seat. Do you not want to be seen with me? He asks. What? No, I say. I am so surprised that my words come out stuttered. I don't want to have to answer any questions about Jamie. Oh, he says. Sorry. He gets out of the car. I watch his back as he crosses the parking lot and try to figure out why he thought I wouldn't want to be seen with him. Finney comes back a few minutes later carrying 2 cones. He taps on the window with one finger and I open the door for him. He hands both cones to me. Here, he says. Thanks, I say. He remembered that mint chocolate chip is my favorite. He got plain vanilla like always. I used to tease him about it. He turns out of the parking lot in the other direction from home. Where are we going? I ask. To the park, he says. The longer we are gone, the better they will feel. When we get out of the car, I hand his cone to him and we walk on the path circling the lake. We eat in silence for a few minutes. I try to eat neatly so that I don't get any green sticky on my face. So, I say after a while, what's Sylvie doing today? She left for her tour of Europe. I think she's in London now. Oh, I forgot. When's she coming back? August. Wow. Finney doesn't say anything. I look up at him. He's staring straight ahead. Are you guys going to stay together in the fall? I guess so, he says. You haven't talked about it. No. We walk in silence for a while. I eat the last bite of my cone and stray off the path to throw away my napkins. We stand by the trash can while Finney finishes his and tosses the remains into. Sasha and Jamie are both going to Rochester, I say. The path winds closer to the lake and out from under the shades of the trees. Finney says. So I guess they will be staying together. Maybe they will breaking up by then, Finney says. Ha! I say. But I doubt it. Well, they deserve each other, he says. It's not the healthiest way to start a relationship either. I say. I can't see how this could be good for them. No, Finney says. It won't be. And do you know what Jamie said? He said I needed him too much. I draw quotes in the air with my fingers. Finney makes a face. What does that mean? I don't know, but do you see what I mean? What kind of relationship is it going to be if he has that attitude? Finney stops and picks up a piece of gravel and pitches it at the lake. The rock skips 4 times, then drops into the water. I sit down in the shade and watch him search for another flat rock. You will better off without them. You know that, right? He says. I know, I say. I wrap my arm around my stomach, but I can't help wishing things could go back to the way they used to be. Finney glances at me and turns back to the lake. The rock jumps only once and falls. He bends down again and picks through the gravel. Do you think that's stupid? I ask. No, he says. I do, I say. I feel like an idiot. I should be glad it's over. I should be relieved. You should, Finney says. He tosses the rock and it leaps across the water again and again. But I don't think you are an idiot. There were so many times I wanted to break up with him, I say. But I didn't because I thought he loves me so much. I can't do that to him. It's that stupid? No, he says. I thought if I broke up with him, no one else would ever love me like that. Well, that part is stupid, Finney says. He turns away from the lake and sits down next to me on the grass. He rests his elbows on his knees and looks at me. Are you going to give me a lecture about how I will find love again? I ask. No, he says. I was going to ask. He blushes and looks back at the lake. He didn't sleep with you and then. No, I say, and then. He isn't that bad. Finney shrugs. We watch the lake for a little while. The sun is starting to set and turn the water warm colors. A breeze picks up and ruffles my ponytail. I hug myself again. I wonder if Jamie and Sasha are together right now, what they are doing. If they are talking about me, pitying me. I scratch my arm. Do you think we have been gone long enough? I ask. Probably. I'm getting eaten by bugs. Okay. Finney stands and offers me his hand. He helps me up and I pretend to dust off my jeans so I get rid of the feeling of his hand on mine. He rolls down the windows on the drive home. I hold my hand out the window and feel the air rushing through my fingers. I take my hair out of the ponytail and it whips around my face. I don't feel numb anymore. And it's not a good thing. My stomach hurts and my chest has a familiar ache. We don't say anything until after he parks the car and shuts off the engine. What are you doing tomorrow? Finney asks. I shrug. Let me take you to breakfast and then you can spend the rest of your day lying in bed or whatever you want. Okay, see you tomorrow then. We open our doors and get out. We go into our separate houses and I go straight upstairs. I cry myself to sleep again, but not just for Jamie this time.